All right. First off, I'd like to say all praise to Yahweh in the name of the Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone. All right. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of the Israel, Lord willing. I'm of that number. All right. So this video is going to be going back into, this is my second time trying to record this. So let me go back to where I started here. All right, so this lesson has to do with partially what we just went over about the last couple of videos about being deceived and undecided in these last days, because this is what is being spread across the earth. All right, at least in the mainstream. All right, this is what has taken over popular opinion: lies, deception. Okay, so people are undecided on how they view or feel about the Lord. Really, well, even if they view the Lord in a certain light, it's not according to knowledge or the truth. Okay, this world has taught them to go with their own feelings, or uh, very much so contrary to the Lord. Which anything outside of the truth is contrary to the Lord. All right, but it teaches you either to go, that you have a choice to go their way, and I'm talking about Esau, Edom, all right, which is the wicked, all right, the self-called and so-called white man. Again, does that mean if you look so-called white that you are an Edomite? No. In Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 64th verse, it explains that Israel was scattered for disobedience amongst all nations. So we look like, talk like, walk like, and worship like, all right, a bunch of these nations that we are surrounded by. Okay, so we can look like, and we do look like, all nations. All right. But Esau, Edom, the bulk of the Edomites, call themselves, okay, so-called white. Okay. The bulk of the Israelites are within the Negroes, Latinos, and Native American tribes. Okay. Peoples, excuse me. But even with that being said, again, we come in the forms of all people. As far as if you were to look at people and judge with your eyes alone, you can't tell an Israelite from a non-Israelite just with your eyes. All right. But again, with that being said, Esau, Edom is the wicked, all right, the self-called and so-called white man, all right. And this message is honed in, focused here in America, all right. This is better known as Babylon the Great to those that are in the truth, okay. Also known as this place as America, this place as Babylon the Great, is also known as the future site of the lake of fire. All right, but what they have pushed through this earth was what we spoke about in the last couple of videos, are lies and deception. Okay, this is what they are about. All right, craftiness, divination. All right, just straight up lying. Okay, and they do this because they have a mission. Find this mission. All right, we can find an example of this mission here in Psalm 83. Okay, with the heading reading, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai implored to confound his enemies. It reads a song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. And again, we're talking about enemies of the Lord, which in turn, being an enemy of the Lord makes them your enemy, Israel. Okay? And vice versa. Okay? And then it's going to go on to name these enemies to show you that Esau Edom is the head. All right. Psalm 83 and 3. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Okay. What did they take this crafty counsel and consult about? All right. What is the plan? Psalm 83 and 4. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And having the name Israel cut off, all right, what's the name Israel in Paleo Hebrew is Yah Shar Allah. Yah is he, Shar is prince, Allah is power. All right, they cut that off. All right, you no longer know that you are princes of the power. Over time, you stop acting as if you are princes of the power. You stop acting accordingly. Which first and foremost, all right, we were set on this path. All right, we are on the exact course that the Lord put us on as a nation. All right, we were meant to fall. We were meant to be subjected to vanity and sin in order to be subjected to hope and faith. We had to know what it was like to fall, put our faith in the Lord. All right, into Yahweh Shai, all right, which is our big brother. That is whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Okay, his Father, our Father, the Almighty, the Most High Power. His name is Yahweh. All right. So that has to do with, that's a part of cutting us off, all right, from who we are in our power. All right, taking away the name and distorting the image. All right, distorting what the Lord looks like. Okay, this is all part of it. All these lies that we have ever heard. All right, that the Lord is all love, that the law, statutes, and commandments are done away with. That you can start accepting what the Lord told you was abominable, because the Lord understands that over time, things change now. So he'll change with you to comfort you. He'll change his ways. No, that is not how it goes. As a matter of fact, that keeps the separation going. All right. You adhering to the Lord's ways, being more obedient, is what brings you back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. And that is the good news, is that you have a chance. That's what a grace period is for. This is a mercy period that we're in right now, to where we can do the things that we can do the things that we can, that the Lord finds pleasing, to the best of our ability. Okay? Not to walk contrary to the best of our ability, but to walk along with the Lord to the best of our ability, to be more obedient. But if they cut you off from being a nation, that the name Israel is no more in remembrance, you're not going to know that you are prince of the power. All right, you're going to be so far gone into going with what the world tells you, that you're going to feel no type of connection with trying to be, right, a prince of the power. You're not going to try to even be recognizable to the Lord, right, because you don't really have faith in the Lord. You have more faith in what this world has implanted into your head than what the scriptures tie you back to. All right. So again, Psalm 83 and 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And for a lot of Israelites over here, all right, they have succeeded at this. At one point, we were all walking contrary to the Lord, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, some of us have come back to remembrance, have been brought back into remembrance of whom we are. Okay? So let's find out a few nations that have to do with this. Psalm 83 and 5, it says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. All right? There are more than just Edom that are helping Edom stay afloat, all right? Are helping Edom in this mission, right? Edom being the head. And you'll find out because they are named first here, okay? So So Psalm 83 and 5 again, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. They are all joined together. All right. And everyone outside of the nation of Israel is an enemy to the nation of Israel. All right. Psalm 83 and 6, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes. All right. And it goes on to list more. Okay. Let me skip down to 12. It says, who said, let us take ourselves the houses of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in possession. And we are the house of Lord, our bodies, all right? We are the temple, okay? Man. So they have all but completed their mission, okay? But they don't know that this whole thing is a prophecy. They didn't take into account the entire word of the Lord, okay? Before they accomplish what they seek to do, the Lord's going to come back, and that's going to be the end of them, all right? So a brother had sent me Psalm, was it Psalm 2? Let's see. Or Psalm 10, excuse me. Short chapter, but it's still sticking in my head, and it goes along with what we're going to talk about here tonight. All right. Speaking of the deception and how these people have had all this time to where they could tell the truth, all right, but they haven't. Okay. Everything has gone right along with what the Lord said is going to happen, all right, because it is the Lord who controls all things. Okay. Even the fact that some of you don't believe, but that doesn't change the truth. Okay. Psalm 10, with the heading being a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. It says, why standest thou far off, O Yahweh? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? And that's what a lot of people feel like. All right, but we know that this is all planned. Okay, this is all in the plan. The Lord sees everything. Okay, everything has its time, though. All right, all these things have to happen. And again, this all started because we disobeyed the Lord, man. This disobedience brought in all of this. All right, so we have to play out our punishment, but then it's soon over. Our punishment is about to be up, and then the rest of the world is going to be punished for sure for everything that's happened. All right, Psalm 10 and 2, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. All right, they're going to get back what they have dished out. All right, it's not going to be a good day for them. All right, and when I mean day, I mean from the morning that the Lord rises here. All right, it's not going to be good for them. All right, and it isn't going to be a good day for them for 1,000 years. All right, which 1,000 years is a day, as a day is 1,000 years with the Lord. All right, so for 1,000 years they're going to build up the kingdom. All right, then they're going to be gathered up and destroyed, man. Okay, so it's not going to be a good day for them upon the Lord's return. All right, Psalm 10 and 3 says, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai abhorreth. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after our power, or will not seek after Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is not in all his thoughts. That's a main difference between us and the wicked. All right, the wicked and the wicked amongst us also. All right, none of them, none of you. All right, if you're not us, you are you. None of you out there consider the Lord first. Okay, we consider the Lord more than we've ever considered him. In a day, we consider the Lord more than we have most of our lives. Okay, and that is through the spirit of Yahweh and Yahushai. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahushai, we have came out of the world. All right. Let's see. Psalm 10 and 5. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. These people think that they're going to get away with everything, man. They just think this is it. This is how this place is going to go. Always for them. They don't realize that them being up points to exactly who they are. All right? It points to exactly whom they are. Prophecy will tell you, all right, who is who. All right? Prophecy will also tell you what time it is. Okay? I'm just getting this good news ready to read. Okay, Psalm 10 and 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And it's understandable, but it's hard to understand how anybody can read this and not see how much this pertains to this place and the ones that are on top. All right, the powers that be. All right, specifically the top banking families. Okay. Even he doesn't care about the lesser Edomites. All right, y'all still stuck on colorism, racism, and all that shit. All right, when the elite of you know what this is really about. All right, it's about a birthright that they want back, that they're not going to get back. Okay, so the Lord has them fighting within even themselves. All right, their pride is fighting against. Their pride is telling them that they are God, but then at the same time they know that they're not, and they're scared. All right, especially now, seeing that Israel is standing back on its feet. Okay, and that these prophecies are coming true. Let me see where are we at now. Psalm 10 and 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Now, you can take that as literal and spiritual. If they teach you to go off from the Lord, all right, telling you that the law, statutes, and commandments are done away with, that the Lord is all love, all right, make something called Christianity, all right, which represents the acquittal of the wicked, all right. And what we mean by Christianity tells you that the Lord is all love and to forgive everything. That's not how the Lord operates, man. Everyone pays for everything that they have done, whether that be good or bad. Okay, but Christianity would tell you that everyone is going to be forgiven and that the Lord is all love. That's bullshit. Okay, and in thinking that and having someone think that, you are being murdered, man, because you're not. First of all, what is repenting? If you believe that, what is repenting going to do for you? If you believe that the Lord is all love, all right, what are you repenting for? Okay, all their push is deceptiveness, confusion. Okay, so those things don't make sense, man. Okay, so if you're not repenting, becoming obedient, okay, because you believe in these other beliefs, because you believe in these other philosophies, you're basically being murdered, man. All right. So again, Psalm 10 and 8, he sitteth in lurking places of villages, and in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. Now, literally, they are in places of power and make laws that hurt the poor, man. All right? make laws to keep you in the struggle to where you have to make decisions, okay, that you wouldn't be making if they were upright. If they ruled this place uprightly, but they can't. They are the wicked. So they put you in a position to live the way that you are, generation after generation, to where it becomes uh, as easy as breathing to be wicked. And then they put the spotlight on you. They are right there to accuse you. Okay? They keep you poor, right? In spirit also. All right. Psalm 10 and 9, it says, He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. All right, I'm not going to read the rest of that chapter. That's a very good chapter, man. It's only 18 verses. I just wanted to read that first little part to show you about the pride of this man. Okay, he is on top, and he makes his laws to stay on top and to keep you under. All right. Also, I wanted to touch on this other verse before we get to some questions. First, yeah, I didn't even read the good news, but that's all right. I really like this verse. I really like this verse, man. There's no one there to tell us the truth, which that's another verse. No one suffered us to be put in graves, man. Nobody suffered to tell us the truth. All right. It took the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, the Holy Spirit, and the men of the Lord for us to know this truth. The world wasn't going to tell us. All right, which is what this verse makes me think of. Proverbs 18 and 17 in the Good News translation. The first to speak in court sounds right until the cross-examination begins. And that's exactly what times we are in. Not only a time of mercy and of grace for us, but this is cross-examination for the world who drove us, all right, who not drove us, but kept us in this drunken stupor, man. All right, and who are still denying the power, all right, who are still holding up to Psalm, the 83rd chapter. Still trying to keep us separated from knowing who we are, man. All right. Got a lot of Israelites not even caring who they are. Okay. Thinking that we are crazy when the truth is right here. All they have to do is go look, but they'd rather just be lazy and let the world tell them who they are. All right. It's sickening, but at the same time, hey, this is the way the Lord said it was going to go. So this is the way that it will go. So with all that in mind, I just wanted to get back to this question that we had asked. So we went over what we're about to read here, but I just wanted to cross-examine it. All right. Okay. There's a question about the RFID micro CHIP. I wanted to attack this one thing right here, just to show the confusion. All right. I know it took a lot of reading to get here, but we just wanted to contrast the righteous and the wicked and state their goal, okay, which is to keep you separated from knowing who you are, all right, so that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. If you don't think about what that name means and everything that comes with it, you're not going to think about the power. You're not going to think about Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You're not going to think about these things. So, therefore, you're going to stay walking in this world. You're not going to consider the old paths. All right? So let's go ahead and read this question. This is what I asked again. Does the Vatican believe that the RFID microchips are the mark of the beast? Again, the answer said no. The Catholic Church, represented by the Vatican, does not believe that the RFID microchips are the mark of the beast. And indeed, the church has even used such technology without concern that it was prophetic. While many Christian denominations interpret the mark of the beast as a literal physical mark in the hand or forehead that would be necessary to buy or sell, the Vatican's stance is that the concept is a spiritual reality of allegiance to the Antichrist rather than a technological device. Here's why. Now, that's pretty dangerous. You know how many Israelites are probably Catholic or following the lead of the Vatican? A lot, right? There's probably many. I mean, not probably, but there are a lot. It says, here's why. It says, no biblical basis for the connection. The Bible was written by people who had no concept of microcoeps, so a literal technological interpretation is unlikely. All right, let's deal with this for a minute. Like I said, Lord willing, this video is probably just going to be a short one. I'm going to open up a new window, and I'm going to ask a question. Is everything in the Bible literal? It says no, the Bible is not meant to be taken literally in its entirety. Rather, the interpretation of biblical text varies widely among different Christians and denominations, with some passages intended as historical fact and others as figurative, symbolic, or allegorical teaching. Many scholars advocate for an interpretation that considers the historical, cultural, and literary context of each passage to discern the author's intended meaning and the nature of the text itself. Now, that's basic knowledge right here, right? But this right here said the Bible was written by the people who had no concept of microcoeps, so a literal technological interpretation is unlikely. Knowing what we just read here about the Bible is not meant to be taken literally in its entirety by their definition here on Google, why would they answer microcoeps? Hold on. No concept of microcoeps. Why would they answer that way? All right, for one, they are not the men of the Lord. All right. But they also know that it's easy to fool you people out there, man. You Israelites that don't actually Isaiah 55:6, as a matter of fact. Seek ye the Lord. Seek with application. Like, you have to apply yourself. All right. Again, back here, we went over this before, but let's do this again. Let's go to the Apocrypha, which is in the 1611 King James. It's also in this Good News translation. All right, so it is a part of the scriptures. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, which is also known as the Book of Sirach. We're going to go here to the prologue. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to go to the point. All right, it reads, wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them, and not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. All right, and also again in this Good News translation, I'm going to read the same thing. The prologue of the Book of Sirach. It reads, let me urge you then to to read this book, all right, Sirach, okay, carefully with an open mind, and please be patient in those places where, in spite of all my diligent efforts, I may not have translated some phrases very well. What was originally written in Hebrew does not always have exactly the same sense when it is translated into another language. That is true not only of this book, but even of the law itself, the prophets, and the other books. The translations differ quite a bit from the original. So what does that lead you to do or to consider? That you have to look at the etymology of these words. You have to go back to the original languages. So let's go back here and look at Revelation. Revelation 13 and 16. It reads, and he, which is Esau Edom, the wicked, causeth all right, specifically the top banking families. That causeth all comes through the power of, all right, Job 9 and 24 tells you that the wicked, right, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, which explains how he's able to causeth all, right? So, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Let's look at causeth all. This is an example of going into these words. All right, let's look at causeth. Here it is.
Strong's G 4160. Poieo. Poieo.
Poieo. It says to make, to be the authors of, the cause, right? To make ready, to prepare, right? I like jumping down here to this definition here. It says to make ready, and so at the same time to institute, right? They cause the problem, which causes a reaction, which allows them to bring along their solution, right? And a lot of times that solution that they bring along is because of that reaction, which is not necessarily people asking for a solution, but asking for the exact solution that the problem that they caused. Okay, so they can bring on the very solution that they were ready to institute. All right, to make ready, and so at the same time to institute. All right, that's what that causeth all is, poieo. But what I want to do here is go look back at, since we're speaking about the mark of the beast. Now remember, the Vatican Catholic Church says no, it's not the mark of the beast, because let's see. It says the Bible was written by people who had no concept of micro C-hips. So because it didn't mention micro C-hip, that micro C-hips aren't being talked about. So with that same thing, is America not in the scriptures? Okay, America is most definitely in the scriptures. It's Babylon the Great, right? Among many other things, all right? Spiritual Sodom in Egypt, okay? What's that word? Asareth or Azareth, all right? There's a lot of different names that America goes by. All right, so it says the Bible was written by people who had no concept of micro C-hips, so a literal technological interpretation is unlikely. When you can say, well, they used unlikely, they didn't say it was definite, but right here it says no. The Catholic Church, represented by the Vatican, does not believe that the RFID micro C-hips are the mark of the beast. Okay. Anyway, let's go back here to Revelation and look at this word for mark. Okay, here's the word.
Strong's G 5480. Kharagma. Kharagma.
It says a stamp, an imprinted mark. I want to go here. What is a very good example today of an imprinted so I never asked this. So I asked, what is a very good example today of an imprinted mark? Let's see what it says. Oh, let's see. You know what? Here, I'm gonna just get straight to the point. I'm gonna just ask straight to the point just to see what it is. Just to see what it says. Hold on. Is a RFID micro C-hip a good is a RFID micro C-hip a good example of an imprinted mark? I just want to see what it says, man. I just want to know the answer to this. Let's see. Define imprinted. Define imprinted mark. It says an imprinted mark is a physical mark, impression, or design left on a surface by pressure, printing, or stamping. Man. So it is a physical. An imprinted mark is a physical mark. Define imprinted mark and give an example of one that can be used to buy or sell. Let's see what it says now. Let me go back here. I want to go to AI mode. Define imprinted mark. Oh boy. It says an imprinted mark is a design or symbol created by pressing or stamping it onto a surface. It is a form of an imprint, which is a broader term for a distinctive mark. The physical impression can be made in a variety of ways, such as pressure, stamping, embossing, laser engraving. Could stamping mean putting within? I asked if stamping could mean putting within. It says yes. In certain manufacturing contexts, stamping can mean putting something within another item. All right. So let me ask this. So I asked, using a Karox and a micro C-hip, could this be used as an example of imprinting a mark? It says yes, using a Karox and a micro C-hip could be described as an example of imprinting a mark. All right. Oh man. So let's go back here to Revelation. Again, the word charagma, all right, a stamp, an imprinted mark. It says, of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as a badge of the followers of the Antichrist. It says a mark branded upon horses, all right, because that's what this thing is going to act as, because it shows who has ownership of you. Right? If the Lord has ownership of you, you won't get this thing. All right, but if the Antichrist has ownership of you, you will have this physical mark, just like a mark branded upon horses is a physical mark. You will take it. You will receive this thing. Also, in the definition of charagma, which is mark in the context of Revelation 13 and 16, it says thing carved, sculpture, graven work. Strong's definition, a scratch or etching, i.e. stamp, as a badge of servitude. So why do they automatically shoot down this being the MOTB, or mark of the beast? If they had no stance in it, wouldn't they say they didn't know? Now, they're saying no, that it is not. Right? And we're telling you that it is. Okay? Which is all that we can do. It's up to the Lord whom he has believed this. Up here, it says how it fits the definition of imprinting. Number one, pressure / stamping. A micro C-hip for a pet or human is injected with a specialized syringe, which is the Karox, right? Which applies pressure to the skin to insert the C-hip, leaving a mark or impression under the surface. All right. It says creating an impression. It says the micro C-hip creates a distinctive and permanent identification mark. In this case, the mark is a unique ID number stored electronically, not a visible symbol. Number 3 says figurative sense. The action can also be seen as imprinting a mark in a figurative sense, permanently assigning an electronic identity to a living being. So what's the problem here? How can it be a direct no to this being the mark of the beast? All right. Again, we are telling you that it is, and all they're doing is sowing confusion, man. Remember, they also tell you that or do they tell you that they accept certain LGBT things, but then again, they don't. So which one is it? Man, the Lord does not change. We went over this in the past couple of videos. All right, but I just wanted to go over again. All right, the frail excuse that they give for no biblical basis for the connection. All they would have had to do was go into the meaning of these other words, which is the point. All right, the prologue to Ecclesiasticus told you this point, that you needed to go beyond reading this in the English. All right, that some things are lost in translation. Okay, but here they say no biblical basis for the connection. The Bible was written by people who had no concept of micro C-hips. So a literal technological interpretation is unlikely. Man, if that is what you base your salvation on, all right, that frail excuse right there, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's not even your excuse. That's the excuse of the ones who are supposed to be spiritual leaders, right? They're supposed to have all this knowledge in a bunch of these books that they have, all right? And they didn't know that the prologue of Sirach spoke to not looking at these things in English alone, and that the Bible wasn't interpreted literal the whole way through. But they give you that excuse for saying that no, the micro C-hips are not the mark of the beast, because the Bible was written by people who had no concept of micro C-hips. Right? Just because that word micro C-hip isn't in the scriptures, that they can't be the micro C-hip. This devil is slick, man. Is America in the Bible? Let me ask that real quick. I just want to see what it says. Let me ask it this way. So I asked, does the Vatican believe that America is spoken of in the scriptures. It says the Vatican does not hold the official position that America is spoken of in the scriptures. Instead, mainstream Catholic interpretation views biblical prophecy as centered on the ancient Near Eastern world known to the original authors, not the modern United States. So I guess, man, hold on. Okay, so it's saying that they don't necessarily believe it, but there are other beliefs that do believe America is in there. So I just want to show this one verse really quickly. All right, because these scriptures will test your faith really quick here, man. All right, let's see. Looking for a specific, here it is. Let's see, which one do I want to go? Hold on a second here. I'll just read these couple of verses. Matthew 4. I'm going to read 6 through. Read 6 through 9. 5 through 9. Matthew 4 and 5 through 4 and 9. Then the devil taketh him, Yahushua, all right, which is the Messiah, which is whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus. And the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, If thou be the Son of Yahweh, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against stone. Yahushua said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, All these things I will give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Okay? So I don't know if y'all caught that, but it says, Again, the devil taketh him up to an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world. Okay? So you think the Lord didn't see America? He showed him all the kingdoms of the world, man. Here's the word.
Strong's G 932. Basileia. Basileia.
Outline of biblical usage: royal power, kingship, dominion, rule. He showed them all of them. All right, all of them, including America. All right, America is in these scriptures, man. And there's more scriptures than that. We just wanted to point out the confusion and the fact that all these people, all right, they had a chance to tell the truth and they couldn't, all right? Not that they would even if they had the truth, they wouldn't have told us because they're wicked, right? But through the spirit and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, the truth was shown to men, okay? All right? And now these people are playing with it, playing with the truth, right? The micro C-hip, the RFID C-hip is the mark of the beast, man. And we don't give a fuck what the Vatican says. We are telling you. All right? They ain't been telling you the truth up to this point. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to start telling you now. Not the entire truth, anyway. All right. So I just wanted to go over that because there's going to be more. There's going to be more that I want to do. I want to do another question that we brought up yesterday or the previous day that I want to go and read on. I didn't even read it yet, but we'll do that question pretty soon. So let's end it with this. The first, again, Proverbs 18:17 in the NLT. The first to speak in court sounds right until the cross-examination begins, and none of these other philosophies or beliefs are holding up under this cross-examination. That's all of y'all ask, man. The Lord has set y'all up nice, man. All right. So with that, I hope this came through as sincere and edifying. And all praise to Yahweh in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of the Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, also known as the Prophets of Doom. These are where I have learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth, and also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number, and Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.